Welcome everyone to this meeting of Cabinet on Monday the 16th of December. Very big welcome, last official Cabinet meeting this side of this year. I'll read out just to remind members that, may I remind everyone present that this meeting is being broadcast live via YouTube and the recording will be archived for future viewing. Could all councillors and officers please ensure that when they speak, they switch on their microphones, and when they finish, that they switch them off. This is extremely important for the benefit of the live stream to ensure that the camera will be focused on the person that's speaking. Thank you. I'll move to the agenda. Item 1 is to receive any apologies of absence. Daniel.
Thank you, Leader. We've received apologies from Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest? No one is indicating. Thank you. Item 3 is to approve as a correct record the public minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of November 2024. I'll move them as a correct record. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Chowdhury showing. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. I'm not aware of any urgent business. Item 5, forward plan. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Leader. This is the forward plan from the 1st of January 2025 through to the 30th of April 2025. Happy to take any questions on the forward plan, Leader.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Any questions of the forward plan? None indicated, and that's to be noted. So that's noted. Thank you. Item 6, this is scrutiny review of exercise provision for young people. I've been informed that Councillor Hadley, the chair of that scrutiny committee, unfortunately cannot attend this evening due to work commitments. So I'm suggesting that we defer that to the next meeting of Cabinet. Is that okay? Everyone happy with that? Yeah. Thank you. Item 6. Item 7 is the local council tax reduction scheme. And Matthew, please. I'll move to Matthew.
Thank you, Chair. This report is on top of a previous EDR that was brought to Cabinet in August, asking for approval to go for a consultation exercise. This report provides feedback on that consultation exercise and seeks approval for the changes to the 25-26 scheme. The exercise was considered successful in terms of the volumes responding and the feedback that was given. The majority agreed or strongly agreed with each of the 6 main points of the consultation. Opportunity was given for additional feedback via a written format. We had a mix of responses. There was nothing consistent that would necessitate altering the proposal. So the recommendation for Cabinet is to note the formal consultation was completed and support for the proposal from respondents, and Cabinet approved the changes to the scheme for 25-26.
Thank you, Daniel. Any questions or comments from Cabinet? Councillor Chowdhury.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pleased that we are able to actually undertake this review and actually make this scheme more generous, from giving 75% reduction to 100% reduction to those who are eligible for the council tax reduction, and especially in the time when we're hearing that we got this cost of living crisis. We had a lot of feedback from the public, and those who were struggling financially, actually, even though that 25% was a small amount, that was still quite difficult to actually make that contribution for those who were actually struggling to pay. So this will actually alleviate a lot of stress on the residents. and it's in sort of direct kind of response to the feedback that we were receiving from our residents. So it's really good. It was a complicated area to look at, and I'm pleased that we were able to provide this kind of direct financial support to those who are in need the most. And whilst doing this, we've also made sure that going forward, the scheme is financially sustainable, and it will actually directly benefit 1,280 residents. So I'm really happy and happy to support this report.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Any other members wish to speak? Can I then formally move the recommendations at item 11? Could I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Chowdhury. All those members in favour, please show. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you. Move on to the next item, which is the review of the risk management policy. Daniel Binks, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The report provides a summary of the review of the existing risk management policy that has been carried out, which seeks to ensure that it continues to reflect best practice and provides effective direction for the Council in managing identified risks. An overview of the changes are set out at section 4 of the report and can be summarised as follows. Reviews of the previous distinction between corporate and strategic risks, renaming service risks as operational risks, incorporating a risk appetite within the policy, incorporating target risk scores within the policy, incorporating fraud risks as a new risk category within the policy, incorporating ICT risks as a new risk category within the policy, updating of risk templates to accommodate the above changes, and reordering the structure of the policy so that it is easier to follow and also confirms how additional support can be obtained. Should the revised policy be approved, work will be to take place to transfer existing risk information into these revised templates, which will require risk owners to identify target risk scores and any further actions required to achieve those. A corresponding review of the Council's anti-fraud and corruption policy and associated corporate governance statement and whistleblowing policies are also scheduled for review during 2024-25, with the outcome of that review scheduled to be reported to Audit Committee and then on to full Council. Once the work is complete, counter-fraud awareness training will be provided to Council services to further support them in identifying and managing fraud-related risks. Cabinet are asked to consider the recommendations as set out in section 12 of the report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Any questions from Cabinet members? No questions. Well, can I then move the recommendation at 12? The Cabinet note the changes that have been made, note the support from the Audit Committee to these changes, and approve the revised risk management policy. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Slater. All those in favour, please show. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you. Item 9 is the options appraisal across different council buildings following the energy audit. Carl, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The report provides recommendations for the decarbonisation of the Town Hall and Civic Function Suite, Borough House, Market Hall and Staffordshire Cemetery. The background section also briefly considers the decarbonisation of other buildings owned by the Council. The consultancy Atkins Realis produced a heat decarbonisation plan for the 4 buildings in March 2024. By 2040, assuming decarbonisation of the national electricity grid, implementing the heat decarbonisation plan would reduce emissions by 86.8% from 354 tonnes to 47 tonnes. Further reduction in emissions from gas use could be achieved by replacing gas cooking appliances. Comparison with industry benchmarks show that the Town Hall and Civic Function Suite for gas use and Staffordshire Cemetery for gas use and electricity use perform poorly per metre squared floor area. Air source heat pumps and fabric improvements account for the largest reduction in CO2 emissions for all buildings. The estimated capital cost for delivering the heat decarbonisation plan is approximately 7.6 million at today's prices, when assumed extra costs associated with delivering the works are included. Without the extra costs, the figure is approximately 5 million. The assumed extra costs include items such as unexpected building works, preliminary activities such as establishing the construction site, contingency for risk, etc. They provide a more accurate figure for the real cost of the work, so it is more likely to be 7.6 million. Including the assumed extra cost, the price increases to approximately 10.4 million over 16 years for the 2040 scenario, so the prices will go up if we don't actually do anything. It is anticipated that implementing the heat decarbonisation plan for all of the buildings could save up to £290,000 in annual energy costs per year by 2040 compared to not installing the interventions. So installing the interventions will reduce future energy costs. As national grid decarbonisation progresses, it is expected that the unit price of electricity is going to fall closer to that of gas now, making the decarbonisation plan more economically feasible and the savings in annual energy spend even higher. The Town Hall and Civic Function Suite has the highest intervention costs, estimated at approximately 3.2 million or 2.1 million without the assumed extra cost to deliver the works, but also the highest CO2 savings at 93 tonnes and would see the greatest reduction in emissions for each pound spent. The Town Hall and Civic Function Suite should therefore be prioritised and the decarbonisation works and building condition survey works integrated into a single programme. A public sector decarbonisation scheme bid can be submitted to central government to apply for funding to cover some of the costs. Consultancy support would be needed to obtain accurate costings, complete feasibility and concept designs and prepare a public sector decarbonisation scheme bid for submission in autumn 2025. The consultancy support would cost approximately £68,000. The poor energy management of the Town Hall and Civic Function Suite during operation highlights the need to review energy management in buildings across the authority. The report therefore makes the following recommendations. For the Town Hall and Civic Function Suite, £68,000 from the 25-26 budget is used to obtain a value for money assessment and accurate costs for delivering both the heat decarbonisation and building condition survey works as a single programme. Advise which building condition survey recommendations could be included in a public sector decarbonisation scheme bid to government, the necessary match funding requirement for us to submit that bid, and also complete the bid application form for submission in 2025. As part of this consultancy, it would also be necessary for the consultants to take the recommendations in the heat decarbonisation plan to the feasibility and concept design stage as a minimum. 35,000 is also used for scaffold design work to enable modernisation and decarbonisation projects to be completed. A low carbon skills fund bid is resubmitted in 2025 to appoint consultants to progress the recommended measures for the Borough House to feasibility and concept design in preparation for a possible future public sector decarbonisation scheme bid once the funding has been secured for the Town Hall and Civic Function Suite. Decarbonisation work at the Market Hall is integrated into the Market Hall Master Plan where feasible. Decarbonisation work at Staffordshire Cemetery is progressed through the Council Building Modernisation Programme. Metering, monitoring and energy management responsibility across the built estate is reviewed. Following this review, a separate report is produced to provide recommendations to improve energy management. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Carl, and thank you for reading those recommendations. Any comments, questions from Cabinet? Councillor Chowdhury.
Yeah, thanks. Again, it's quite a detailed report, and it's quite an interesting read as well. So it's and well presented, may I add. I think what it shows is that, again, the council is serious about the decarbonisation agenda, and as has been said, it is a programme, it's not a project, and obviously it's going to take a lot more time and a lot more detail to come up with individual projects in order to deliver on this program. But I'm pleased to say that we are actually taking it seriously. We are making a commitment. We are going to start sort of looking into this in more detail, and hopefully move it forward and achieve our ultimate sort of aim of making the buildings more efficient from carbon footprint point of view. So really pleased and happy to support the recommendations as presented. Thank you.
Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you. Yeah, will support this, of course. In fact, I think it's very well written, very clear. And if anybody thought there was an easy way around this, then this report puts them right. But I think we as an administration have some talking to do, because if we're after this, we go forward as we are at the moment, but looking forward into 25, 26, 26, 27, if we're serious about moving forward with this, we have to do some talking, hard talking amongst ourselves, and understand A, what it is possible to do, and B, how we're going to explain the fact that because of the circumstances that we're in, much of what we would want to do may not be possible. I was heartened to hear that there are 2 schemes possible in terms of funding, grant funding, as I understand it, Carl. So that's something to look forward to, that there may be a potential there of getting some money towards the scheme. But I think in general, the report is very good and sets a path for us both to understand the extent of the problem, but also what needs to be done in terms of discussing and deciding in the future.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hawkins. Any other comments? I have to say I do agree with both my Cabinet members' contributions. Happy to move the recommendations at 14 that have been read to you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hawkins. All those in favour, please show. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you for that. Thank you, Carl. I'll now move on to the next item, item 10, which is the Q2 Revenue and Capital Outturn Report. Again, Daniel, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The report presents the 2024-25 forecast outturn for revenue and capital as at Q2, alongside an analysis of budget variances. The report also provides an update on Treasury management activity, as well as the key corporate and strategic risks facing the authority. The projected budget revenue variance is an overspend of 26k against the £16.79 million net budget, which represents a reduction of 87k from the 113k overspend forecast at Q1. The report provides a detailed commentary at individual portfolio and departmental level of the revenue budget variances. Although the current forecast position is close to being on budget, it is important that we continue to identify and implement actions to address the remaining pressures wherever possible. Section 6 of the report provides an update on Treasury management activities. This shows the investments as at the 30th of September stood at £60.6 million. Yields from investments since the start of the financial year have averaged 5.22%. Forecast investment income will continue to be monitored closely in year in light of the recent interest rate reduction, with further reductions currently anticipated across the remainder of the financial year. Appendix B provides full details of investments as at the 30th of September 2024. In terms of capital, Section 7 of the report sets out the position against both the mainstream programme and the Towns Fund programme. The capital programme for 2024-25, following carried forwards from 2023-24 and other approved amendments, including those related to Burton Market Hall roof, now sit at £19.03 million, with a forecast outturn of £13.67 million and a £5.36 million reprofiling of spend into 2025-26. Appendix C provides details on a scheme-by-scheme basis. Cabinet are asked to consider the recommendations as set out at Section 15 of the report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Any comments or questions from Cabinet? No one indicating. Councillor Chowdhury.
Yeah, thanks again. I guess, I think when you look at the R10 report, it is obviously it's an improvement from the reported position in Q1, but we are slightly overspent position against a budget of over £16 million. That just shows that there's some good sound kind of financial management within the council, and I'd like to thank everybody really, because and especially the budget holders, the service kind of head of service who are managing the budgets on daily and weekly and monthly basis really to contribute to this kind of this position. What it also shows is that we can't be complacent going forward. We've still got 2 quarters to go yet, and in this kind of difficult financial kind of climate, and in when we're seeing a lot of fluctuation and volatility in terms of the inflation and the costs, I think it's overall it's a really good good outcome, and just I'd like to acknowledge that all the good work that which has gone in to it so far, and also encourage that we carry on over the next 2 quarters as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, for that. Any other comments, questions? No? Well, can I formally move the recommendations at 15? They're listed there. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Chowdhury. All those in favour, please show. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you, Cabinet, and thank you, Daniel. I'll now move on to item 11, which is the Q2 performance report. I believe Declan is going to take us through that. Please, Declan.
Thank you, Leader. So this is the Q2 performance report, looking at the Council's progress towards achieving its corporate priorities between July and September of this year, along with the latest updates on the leisure contract and the Towns Fund programme. I'll start with the corporate plan. Each target has been graded using the red, amber and green ratings, depending on the progress of each individual indicator. And looking at the live 91 targets, this equates to 86.81% green, 6.59% amber and 6.59% red. The Council has fallen behind the Q1 performance after a very good start to the year. It remains strong in the Towns Fund and the leisure contract, and the tables on pages 7 and 8 of the covering report show further detail on how those percentages break down across both the corporate priorities and the individual cabinet portfolios. The red and amber targets are detailed in the tables which you can see on pages 9 through to 13 of the report, and Appendix 1 includes a detailed overview of all of the indicators in the corporate plan, which also includes comments giving further detail on the situation of each of these indicators. The table on page 14 of the report contains some information regarding a target which is being proposed for an amendment. The report then goes on to provide information on the performance of the leisure contract, which you'll find in section 6 of the report, which remains positive with 77 green, 1 amber and 0 red indicators. And section 7 of the report summarises the progress of the Towns Fund programme, which details the 3 partner projects which are currently on track or completed, with a positive RAG rating for delivery, spend and risk. So that's a summary of the Council's Q2 performance. If there's any questions, I'll happily take them or take them away.
Thank you, Declan. Any questions? Comments? No? And you finished with that, or you want to move on to the other? Okay, that's fine. I've got a recommendation of 15 for us to consider it, but I hope you're mindful that there is one for amendment also in that. So I'll move the recommendation of 15. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Slater. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Thank you for that, Declan. I'll now move on to item 12, which is an update on the Maltings regeneration project, design concepts and consultation. Kelly, I assume, and Jonathan, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the report is to provide a summary of engagement undertaken and feedback received on concept options and to set out the next steps to progress in the regeneration of the Maltings. So the Council identified the Maltings as priority site for regeneration. So 2 concept proposals, which are in Appendix 2, were created by BHB Architects. The main differences being the amount of car parking spaces, green space / public realm size, and the layout of commercial and residential uses in the precinct, with option A having 250 car parking spaces and option B having 200 car parking spaces. The bus station and Bradley Street toilets remain in their existing location with plans to modernise and refurbish the toilets. A 8-week consultation period occurred in June and July this year. The information was promoted and engagement methods used were through PR, social media, a dedicated page on the Council's website. Physical and digital feedback forums hosted 7 consultation events. Over 10,000 leaflets were delivered with a copy of the leaflet in Appendix 3. 43 resident letters and 74 business letters were hand-delivered in close proximity to the Malting site. Public sector organisations were contacted. It was highlighted at a High Street Task Force event, and also there was a dedicated stand at Uttoxeter Town Hall throughout the consultation period. The feedback received were 129 feedback forms completed, 243 attendees at consultation events, and 12 general comments received via email. So overall, 384 responses were received, with the County Council providing initial feedback in respect to the bus station and general engineering comments. Appendix 6 provides the latest iteration of the plans and the concept designs, which looks at progressing forward with option B with amendments such as retaining access from Church Street, allowing rear access for the high street businesses to support their continued operation, and also having smaller start-up units as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anything to add, Kelly? Not at this point?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any comments, questions from Cabinet? No? Okay, the recommendations are at 14. There's 3 of them. I'll move those recommendations. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hawkins. All those in favour of those recommendations, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you for that. Okay. To the last item on this side, yeah. Can I just, before you go, I'm going to be moving into the private part of the meeting in just a second. So, for those officers still present, I should have said at the start, wish you a very happy Christmas from all of at the Cabinet, and to anyone who's watching at home, very Merry Christmas from the Cabinet. Okay, so I now propose, you're looking at me as though, no. I'm now going to move into part B of the meeting, which is the private part of the meeting. So I'm going to move that in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the remainder of the meeting, as it is likely, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted or the nature of the proceedings, that there would be disclosed exempt information as described in paragraph 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, indicated in the brackets before the items on the agenda. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder? Need a seconder, Rue, in the part B. Councillor Slater. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you for that. We're now moving into part B.